Welcome back to an all-new episode of Let's Talk Lions. I'm Jay.
I'm Christian.
And you're here. All right, so I just wanted to talk to you about playoff picture because who knew that this would be a situation in which we would be...
We'd be having in December? Mid-December?
Yeah, which is actually pretty wild. Now, granted, my guess for the year was 11-6.
I was going to say you knew we'd be having this conversation.
I freaking knew.
Yeah.
Where were you? Well, actually, where were you at the beginning of the year? Like, where'd you sit with where the Lions would be?
I don't know if I ever actually thought about it. I mean, I definitely knew that we were going to be a front runner because Rodgers wasn't around.
True.
So I'm like, well, as long as we don't F it up too bad. I mean, I knew it was going to be between us and the Vikings.
Sure.
And then once Cousins died, I'm like, all right, well, it kind of feels like we got it. But then I feel like I started to believe once we beat the Chiefs. So game one.
Immediately,
yeah. Game one. I'm like, oh, okay, we can go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. I'm like,
while they raised the freaking banner.
Maybe we got some legs.
Yeah. Playoff picture.
Playoff picture?
What?
Playoffs?
Let's talk about it. All right. Obviously, at this point, from what I understand, there is a greater than 99% chance that the Lions make the playoffs, get a playoff berth.
Correct. I mean, isn't it one win?
One win.
All we need.
And then there's also all these scenarios where people lose.
Correct.
Now, what gets interesting here is the division. 95% chance that the Lions win the division. That other 5% is Minnesota because the Packers, Bears, and Vikings all lost last week. So both the Bears and the Packers out of the division race.
Well, that's good.
Minnesota is the only shot at winning the division, and the way they have to win it, we lose out, they win out, they beat us those 2 times.
That's not happening.
It's not happening. How beautiful is that?
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good because who's their quarterback?
I don't know. Is it Nick Mullins?
I say, didn't Dobbs die?
Dobbs is gone. He didn't even die. They just said, you suck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was just bad.
I felt bad for Dobbs.
Yeah, he threw 4 picks against the Bears.
So he got benched. We got the division. We got it this Sunday.
Well, here's where it starts getting really peculiar when you start looking at here's the thing. I said, I believe the Lions go 11-6. We win the division.
So we only win one more game.
That was I'm sorry. That's what I said in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
However, I think very realistically, it all depends on what's going on with the Cowboys. Say we beat Minnesota this week.
Correct.
Okay. We are now 11 wins, 4 losses.
We clinched the division.
So we
don't even have to try the next 2 weeks.
So this is where I'm like, okay, where's the Cowboys at? Us jockeying for the division title, or I'm sorry, for NFC. I'm like, there's a 1% chance we can get it.
Correct.
We need San Francisco to fall off the wagon.
That's going to be why we don't get it.
And that's why we don't get it. So to me, I'm like, okay, we could jockey to get that number 2 spot. And if we get, so that's where it's like, okay, you go into Dallas. We beat Minnesota. Now you go into Dallas and you're jockeying for that number 2 spot. You got to beat them.
Does it matter what Dallas does this week? Because I believe they play the Dolphins.
Yes, they play the Dolphins.
That is not an easy game.
No. Even the Dolphins without Tyreek Hill. I know it's the freaking Jets, but put up 30.
Right.
Without Tyreek.
Well, no, that's why I'm like, so let's
And the Jets defense is good.
I know. So what happens if the boys lose?
Lose, we go into Dallas and we say, screw you, little boy. Plus, freaking hate Dallas. I hate Dallas so much that I'm like, screw it.
Well, yeah, no, you're right, because we'd be, assuming we win, we'd be 11-5. They'd be 11-4. They'd be
10-5.
10-5.
So then you beat them again.
So they're going to be hungry.
Because they have the Finns, us, and Washington.
Commanders.
Yes. Yeah. So in that scenario, we win 2 of those. They only win 1 against the Commanders. We now hop into that number 2 spot.
And then we play the Rams.
At the moment
would be the
Rams. Now, bro, I'm looking at this where it shows what the whole playoff picture is at the moment. It's pretty freaking wild because you look at us, we're sitting at that 3 spot. So if we jump into the 2, as of today, we're playing the LA Rams. If we jump into the 2.
I'm fine with that.
What if I posed this to Jake? I've now posed this to probably 10 people. What is the worst case scenario? Not saying this is going to happen.
The worst case scenario is we play Stafford and he comes back to Ford Field and he's like, oh, I'm pretty familiar with this place. And he lights us up.
Worst case scenario. He drops
a 40 bomb on us.
There would be no worst moment for me in a playoff scenario at our own home field, and the storyline that goes with it. Matt Stafford,
who grew up with Clayton Kershaw, if you guys didn't know.
I didn't know that. Where'd you hear that? Where'd you get that fact?
Past 6 years of football watching with you?
Bro. Literally, there could be nothing worse than a Rams, a Matt Stafford, and a team that's now hot coming into Detroit.
Well, okay. Let's play this here. If we play the Vikings twice.
Yep.
If we beat them twice, realistically, they
might drop.
They would drop. So we'd play the Vikings 3 times in 4 weeks.
Back-to-back games in a playoff scenario. But this is where it gets wild because you're looking at these wild card spots. At the moment, the Eagles have a wild card spot.
I know. I saw that this morning. That's terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's at the number 5. So that means they're playing Tampa Bay.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're lucky there.
They get because, dude, Baker Mayfield in this type of scenario, he
was born for this.
The Bucks are better. Baker's better now than they were when they played them. So I'm like,
correct.
He was born for this.
Yes.
He was molded.
He's grown up.
He's grown up.
He's become a man. Baker, I know you're watching this. I'm proud of you. Beat the Eagles for us.
Beat the Eagles. Now, what's nuts is you're looking at these spots: Vikings 7-7, Rams 7-7, Seahawks 7-7, Saints 7-7.
Oof.
So, like, as there's only 7 playoff teams, the Seahawks are in at the 8th spot at 7-7.
I don't want to play the Seahawks.
I don't want to play the Seahawks.
That's the only team that I don't want to play because I'm like, we could lose. Obviously, we don't want to play Stafford because it's just Stafford and we know what he can do.
Yeah, but they have our number. Seattle.
See, I don't know. That's why I don't want to play him.
Seattle has our number.
I was like, I don't want a shootout.
No, I don't.
Our defense isn't good enough for a shootout. Sorry.
Now, we should be getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. I don't know if you saw with the...
yes.
But here's the question. How many reps did he take before we run into the playoffs?
I know his name's C.J. Gardner, but is it the same C.J. Gardner that was playing in weeks 1 and 2?
In fact, his name is no longer C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He changed it to C.D. Deuce.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why? C.D. Deuce?
C.D. Deuce. It's like C-E-E-D-Y and then D-E-U-C-E.
What is this, a meta world peace situation? Do you even understand that reference?
No.
No? No, it's basketball. I forgot what his name was. It was a guy who changed his name to Meta World Peace.
Oh, you're being serious?
I'm being dead serious.
I thought you were talking about the metaverse.
No. Someone watching. What was his original name? Drop a comment because I can't remember it. It was name. He changed his name to Meta, and his last name was World Peace. It's going to drive me nuts until I figure out who that is.
Huh. Yeah, okay. So the Bucks are sitting at 7-7. They're going to win their division, most likely.
Unfortunately.
But the Saints also sitting at 7-7.
It's a playoff spot.
Those two teams could flip for the division.
They could.
Because you look, Tampa Bay's got the Jags, the Saints, the Panthers.
Tampa Bay has Jags. That's probably a loss. Saints, that's going to be a tough game.
It's a tough game, both jockeying for the spot.
Luckily, they play the Panthers.
Meanwhile, you got the Saints. They're playing Rams, Bucks, Falcons.
Ooh, those are all winnable games. They could be 10-7.
And they could take the division and then they're forced to play Philly. So, like, this is why the last 3 to 4 weeks are so fun, because you sit there and you're like, oh my God. This is where we need to beat the Cowboys, because then we get them at home in the playoffs.
Right.
I don't want to roll into Jerry World.
I'm already curious enough to see what it's going to be like going to Jerry World. Because they're good at home.
Yes.
They blow on the road.
They were like 14-0.
Yeah.
They might be 15-0.
For some, maybe it's a Houston Astros situation where they're, banging the drum. They know our plays, but
they got some lasers under the field, and they're able to see. They got mirrors everywhere, and they're looking at our
our plays.
Oh my God, it's like a fun house.